Hello everyone, welcome to So Jannelle. I'm your host Jannelle So. We are still, I can't count anymore, but we are still in the middle of the fight against this global pandemic that has turned everyone's lives upside down. We are still sheltering in place, at least in California where we are from. As of taping of the show, May 13th, they're saying that it's a possibility that our shelter in place orders here in California can extend up until July. So 3 more months, such a daunting prospect for a lot of us who have already lost our jobs, lost our income. A lot of the artists I know, production has come to a halt. A lot of people are just trying to stay afloat, trying to survive aside from going stir crazy at home. There are some small business owners that are having to swallow the bitter pill of maybe closing down businesses, and I know that's a very sad thing. This pandemic has definitely paralyzed our economy, and that's why today on the show we wanted to highlight a word that we've been hearing a lot, and that's to pivot. So what are you guys doing? What are we doing? What are some of our guests doing in order to turn this around, maybe adjust to our new normal, and to pivot, to do something more to cope, not just to survive during a pandemic, but also maybe to thrive? And yes, that may be possible. We also have tips for you on that here on the show today. But let's start with the obvious. A lot of our Filipino designers, I know you've seen them on other news and on Facebook. They used to make clothes, they used to make gowns and all that stuff, all the fun stuff, and are now pivoting to making masks and protective gear for our frontliners. Here's the story. I know that a lot of designers answer the call when there was a shortage in masks and in PPEs for our frontliners. Tell us about your stories.
We wanted to cater the needs in the Philippines because a lot of the public hospitals there were calling out, asking for help. And then I had doctor friends approaching me. They said, maybe you can make masks for us. And that's how it came about. The best time, I think, to innovate or create something is out of need. Mm-hmm. So there was a need, so we answered.
When the whole thing came up, actually I was already prepared to do it because I was already thinking since January that there could be a need use of the mask.
You also wanted to give work to your workers because no work means, right?
Yes, because obviously the world is on halt and everything is on hold. So we want to make sure that the employment for our factory and our subcontractors are continuous. And I'm like, okay, it's one thing for a business to lose its revenue and earnings, but for our people who have given us so much all these years that our factory has been around, I think it's important that we continuously provide jobs for them.
I get to do something good for the community, for the frontliners. So I made it a point wherein I will be able to donate. I will be able to provide a sustainable income to my seamstresses and the people in the factory. And I will be able to protect, the public with the good quality of a mask.
So I'm like, okay, let's start making masks, right, and suits and medical gowns.
So your masks, in terms of measurements, are all industry standards?
They're actually all industry standards and they're medical grade. So we do make the N88, which is the mask that's a bit lower than N95. So we have that. Right. So they're good for hospital use and surgeries. And then we also have the sewn ones, which are like these. Mm-hmm. They're also medical grade in terms of measurement. There are 3 layers. So the top, and then there's a filter in the middle. The top and bottom are the same fabric. Mm-hmm. So this is the one that's washable, mm-hmm, and reusable.
I want to do something like a fashion style or more on medical grade. So because I have a background of a medical technology, so I want things to be very accuracy and precision. So I made a development using burn tests, candle tests, the nanotechnology. That's why I said I want to create this AMLA Aero Guard. It will definitely guard you from any aerobic bacteria, dust, and what have you, the viruses.
And so, do we have numbers of how many you've sent?
I think 1,200 in suits.
Right.
The masks, I totally lost count.
Right.
On the first week of March, I've been delivering to a lot of from the Academy of Filipino-American Physical Therapists, skilled nursing homes. I'm doing a program for UCLA Health.
And I know that another pivot that you've done is that you're making this available online.
Yes, correct. I did an online store. People can still do some personal shopping with me using Venmo and all that. But if you don't have to deal with me, you want to do online, it's amla-store.com. It's on Shopify.
So our next step is to actually partner with celebrities, maybe a couple of them. And what we will do is we will ask them to promote the fundraising, and then we will produce. And the celebrities can actually decide where they want the PPEs to go, as long as they're for medical frontliners and public hospitals, then we're okay with it.
Thank you so much for joining us again today, and thank you for doing what you're doing, providing masks and suits for our medical frontliners.
Thank you so much, Jannelle.
We're also trying to pivot here on the show. I don't know if you've noticed, but the last few weeks we've been trying to push YouTube. So aside from watching us on TFC and on LA18, if you are in Southern California, that's a free channel. I know that not all of us have TFC, and also some of us, or a lot of us, are outside of the TFC coverage. So we are now making our shows available on YouTube, and that's a global stage. So if you have friends and family who you think should watch the show but can't find us, tell them we are now on YouTube, www.youtube.com/SoJannelle, where we also post extended versions of our interviews, as well as our commercial-free premieres every Wednesday night, here on Pacific Time, 8 p.m., 11 p.m. Eastern, and 11 a.m. Manila time on Thursday. We have more when we return on the show. Don't go away. Back here today, we're highlighting the word pivot, what we're doing to adjust to the new normal and how we're trying to adapt to the times. Now, these are really uncertain times. Can families really still thrive, and can we make smart decisions during these times? According to Rod Mercado of Financial Rescue, yes, we can. And here he is with some tips on So Rescued. Rod, the coronavirus has made American families' financial futures extremely volatile. And as of filming this segment, Rod, I know you're there in Milpitas, your headquarters, and I am here in Southern California, because we still don't know. Stay-at-home orders may be extended, and they're saying it may be 3 more months. What can we do?
So, very timely itong pag-uusapan natin ngayon, so we can help the families out there, particularly mga kababayan natin, on what they can possibly do, to lessen the effect of this pandemic.
There are statistics. Since mid-March of this year, there have been staggering numbers associated with the economy. Number of jobless claims nationwide, Rod, ilan na?
6.4 million jobless claims. So since mid-March, to be exact, that's equivalent to 15% of the U.S. workforce. So talagang nakakatakot, di ba?
So we can do some things in order to make smart financial decisions. At this point, a lot of people are already tightening their belts. The first step that you're suggesting is to take advantage of every opportunity.
Yeah, I'm referring to the economic assistance programs na ino-offer ng government, right? To every U.S. citizen. So ito yung tinatawag nating CARES Act, or tinatawag natin Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. Kung saan ang isang adult, let's say in a family of 4, pwedeng makakuha ng assistance up to $1,200. Now, there's also what we call the expanded unemployment insurance benefits na pwedeng ma-avail ng mga kababayan natin. Extra $600 din yan a week.
Another tip that we can share with our viewers is don't make fear-based decisions.
And usually when everything is associated with the emotion, then you tend to commit big mistakes. So think long-term for major decisions. What about yung anak mo, halimbawa, pag lumipat ka sa ibang lugar, paano pagbalik ng school? Di ba, ang mga bata, nahihirapan din silang palagi nilang iba yung friends nila.
Rod is talking about knee-jerk reactions to major decisions, which is such a no-no. I know for a fact, Rod, there are some people at the onset of this virus, natakot pumasok. So ayaw bigyan ng day off, nag-resign sa trabaho.
I agree. Meron pa nga akong isang kakilala, although I'm not saying that this is totally wrong, that what he did was totally wrong. Like, nag-withdraw ng 401k.
Oh, okay.
Pero para sa akin kasi sometimes, mag-isip ka muna, withdrawing from your 401k should be your last resort.
Right.
Another thing is yung mortgage forbearance.
Yes.
May mga, lalo na kung ang loans mo ay backed by the federal loan, ngayon pwede kang humingi ng hindi pwede ka mag-skip ng payments. Now, kahit na hindi federal back yung loan mo, why don't you go to your lender and try to see if you have some options? It's not wrong to go and see them and discuss some possibilities.
Speaking of the banks, Rod, you mentioned here combined checking accounts. This is exactly true for parents.
When you combine, then you see exactly where the money goes, right? Mas open yung communication. Hindi yung, akala ko may pera ka pa eh. Yung pala, nagagamit na ito, something else. Communicating also your situation not only to your spouse but also to your kids. You should involve them because we're financially hard up. Now we have to do certain things, magba-budget tayo. We will give more priorities to the most important ones or the essentials. And saka na yung mga bagay ba yan, like subscription. Isa yan sa mga areas na pwedeng pagtitiran. Cellphones, for instance, kung yung, palagi ko sinasabi to na every year, you have to review yung plan mo. Right. So, kakaroon ng new competitions. Then you can go back to your provider and ask, hey, do you have something for us? Or humanap ka na rin ng temporary job, no? Ang dami ngayon, like pwede kang, yung mga grocery shopping delivery.
Yes. And one final thing, Rod, get help with debt relief during the coronavirus pandemic. Don't wait, di ba?
Kung ikaw nurse, policeman, sila or frontliners, right? Sila ay mga heroes natin at kami ay nagbibigay ng tulong sa kanila ngayon. We're extending special discounts. So, tumawag po kayo sa amin. We have special pricing for you. And remember, nag-extend din kami ng loans ngayon. Not my company per se, no? Because we were saying, wow, si Rod, sobrang yaman na.
Nagpapautang na.
Yeah, but I provide the platform and we are connected to 50 creditors.
Okay.
Nationwide. So, that's a big help. Tumawag po kayo, magtulungan tayo.
Maraming salamat, Rod Mercado. Please keep safe, Rod. And thank you for your service to our community through Financial Rescue. Pivot is the buzzword the last few weeks, also today on So Jannelle, how people are trying to adapt to the new normal, trying to adjust. Maybe some businesses who used to offer different things before are now pivoting, trying to offer different things or new things, or trying to add to their menu or trying to add to their services sheet or services lineup so they can help other people adjust as well. And that is what these two women, Filipino entrepreneurs, did. They have pivoted their business, and also one great thing about them, they have joined forces to help each other, which is what's needed right now. Reza and Sherry, hello and welcome to So Jannelle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Jannelle.
So let's talk about this buzzword, which is pivot. So small business owners trying to do what they can to adjust to the new normal, and also maybe trying to look at opportunities and trying to see what opportunities come their way. Reza, let's start with you. What was business like before the pandemic?
Business was typical, serving our customers for lunch hour. People are 8 o'clock mass next door at St. Philomena coming in for brunch, things like that. Looking forward to seeing our customers every Sunday since we're next to St. Philomena. They have like 6 masses. So after mass, the tendency for the past 40 years is they'll come and eat with us. We have catering pickups, things like that.
Right. And Sherry, what was business like for you?
Oh, it was busy. We had the fairs we relied on, like Smorgasburg every Sundays and the 626 night markets. And that's like a crowd thing, right? So that was the first to go. So when they announced that it was over, I was kind of lost at that time.
At what point did you realize, Reza, that things were changing?
March 14th, that whole weekend. And when we noticed, people weren't going to church because you couldn't gather. It wasn't officially shelter in place yet. We had people calling in saying, hey, we need to cancel our order because, we had a party. So 50% stayed with it, said, oh, that's not going to, change our plans. So they kept with it. But definitely the second week of weekend, I mean, zero. Everyone canceled their catering packages. Our pancit was still there because pancit, has been a staple for dinners and everything. But everything else, all gone.
What was going on in your mind?
The first thing, I have an older brother who kind of like has a foresight, right? He says, Charity, don't worry, you have the internet. And I didn't believe him. So when everything collapsed, your first instinct is, let's shut down. There's no other source of income. There you go. But I remember, wait a minute, there might be the internet and there might be deliveries, and that's where Reza came in.
At what point did you pivot? Because you were one of the, I think the quickest one, the earliest ones to say, oh, now we're offering deliveries, and you even personally delivered stuff, Reza.
Yes. So I got a text on that Saturday. Imagine I had a full spread of delicious food and we had no one coming in, like lunch hour, no one came in. I got a text and she was actually from San Diego, and she said, I want to help a family who has a son that was autistic and they haven't gone out and they're actually hungry, and can you deliver food? And I said, where is this? And she said, in the Valley. And I'm like, okay, I'm in Carson, you're in San Diego. She said, I'll Venmo you. And I said, well, that's 45 minutes away. But first instinct is you need to help the family, because she said that they haven't eaten. So she ordered, I got it ready, packed it up. While I was doing that, I took photos of the food that we had because it wasn't being touched. I mean, it was still fresh and everything. And I posted it on Facebook and Instagram. And I said, hey, anybody from the Valley area, I'm willing to bring you some of our famous pancit malabon and our dishes. And soon enough, I got 3 orders, 3 texts, 3 calls. And then that was the same time that my friend said, hey, you're already in the Valley. You're so close to Santa Clarita. Get some Ensaymada project for me. And so I reconnected with Shari that day. And then, we were sharing stories of what we're facing, with COVID-19. And she was like, I feel like I need to fold. And I'm like, no, don't fold. You have an awesome product. And I said, we'll help each other. And since then, it's been a partnership where we've just been pushing each other and empowering one another.
Right. So, Cherry, if there's one thing or a few things that you're learning from this that you can take with you until after the pandemic, what would you say those are?
I guess it's the loyalty of the customers. They will be with you no matter what, if you have a good product, I think.
Right.
Every day has been a challenge. There's always been something different. So the key thing, even to all businesses out there, is you need to adapt to the changes. Because if you don't, that's the only way to survive. So honestly, it is like the survival of the fittest and everything that you've learned in the past, whether at school, at home. I think we're really in a depression. And so we don't know. And it's really faith, hope, and trust in the Lord, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to carry us through.
I like the synergy of female entrepreneurs, Filipina, women, minority, helping each other. You see more of this trend?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
You lean on each other.
Yeah. Between Sherry and I, it was a win-win situation. I helped the people around Carson get the product where, they couldn't get it through online, saving money on, costs. But at the same time, like I told her, I go, I'll help you. I go, let's, tulungan. And, truly the kapabayan spirit that we have, the first time we reconnected again. And I still remember everything. So everything, I truly believe everything happens for a reason. But really just empowering one another to continue. And that's why I keep putting on her Instagram, go, go, go.
I like that. I'm learning from this interview very quick, but I know that a lot of our viewers are also getting a lot of the values in the message, trusting in the Lord, adapting to change, trusting in the Lord, and praying this whole time, taking it one day at a time, and leaning on each other for help.
Thank you so much for entrusting us, for enabling us to provide you our famous pancit malabon and all our other dishes. And let's continue to celebrate life because that's what it matters at the end of the day.
Of course, my card always says this. Thanks for allowing us to share our ensaimadas with you.
Right. Well, thank you to both
you.
of you for sharing.
Thank you for all the support. It is like overwhelming.
Remember that the segments that you're watching on TV are just a sliver of the segments that we actually do. So the interviews are actually longer. We have a limited time, airtime on TV, and that's why we can't put everything. So if you want the extended versions, more learnings, more chikahan, more stories, and more messages, make sure that you catch us online, www.youtube.com/SoJannelle. We are also on Facebook. We are also on Instagram. So please catch us on social media. And don't forget the premiere of our shows on YouTube. That's Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, and that's 11 a.m. Thursday morning in Manila. Also, if you have friends and family in Asia, in the Middle East, in Europe, they can also catch us on YouTube, www.youtube.com/SoJannelle. We'll be back with more. Don't go away. You know, one of the sectors or group of people that have been affected by this as well are artists, especially independent artists. Production houses have closed shop. There's nothing going on right now. There's no events, so there's no need for singers and performers. There's really nothing. And apart from their busy days before the pandemic, they're having to cope and also having to think about a future that may not be so certain for them. Here is the story, a very inspiring story of Jules Aurora. Jules, hello and welcome to So Jannelle.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
You know, I've been wanting to feature you on this program. I just wish it were under better conditions. You live by yourself essentially, and it's been like weeks of lockdown. How has it been for you?
This is the most isolated I've been. Like, I'm very social and I'm used to going out and doing things and performing and being around people, and it's just very different for me. And it's been a lot of ups and downs emotionally.
For people that are not familiar, tell us about what you were doing before the pandemic.
I'm a singer, songwriter, and actress, so I have kind of dipped my hands in like every little area of entertainment. But typically my day would look like a commercial audition or a theatrical audition, and it was pilot season, so I was going out for different shows and I had auditions all the time. So that's definitely something that changed. And then music wise, in terms of going to the studio, we couldn't do any more sessions. These are all things that as an independent artist, that changed a lot for me.
But at what point during the last few weeks when you realized that, oh, my life is changing?
I had 6 shows, I think, that were all over the country planned for the spring, and all of those got canceled. And then once that happened, I was just like, wow, okay, this is real. It was just a lot for me because also, I mean, that's my main source of income is shows and modeling gigs and theatrical things. And so to have that opportunity taken away from me, where normally I can, if I want to push myself more, I can just be like, okay, I'm gonna get out there more and do more things and really network. And at this point, there's not as much that I can proactively be doing because we're all just stuck at home. So the opportunities aren't even there.
There's a buzzword right now that we've been mentioning throughout the program is pivot. For an independent artist like yourself, what are you doing to pivot?
I've been focusing on the things that make me happy. And to me, like my number one thing that I've always loved to do is music. And I've been able to do covers more often and create more content that's more intimate just for my fans. I'm grateful for social media because it's allowed me to connect with people even through this crazy time. And I've just been adjusting to, okay, well, what do I have control over? And right now I have control over making content. Like I can still do that. I can still sing. I can still learn dances in my room. I can still spread as much like positivity through what I love to do. So that's what I've been focusing on, and just trying not to think about all of the other things going on, I think helps me a lot.
We don't have an end in sight. like I said, in California, they're talking about extending shelter in place for another 3 months until July. And that's quite daunting for everyone. So what are you planning looking ahead?
It's not going to last like this forever. So I think that in terms of planning for the future, I had a lot of opportunities that were lined up that were postponed as well. So I'm looking forward to those things, a lot of things in the realm of music and those endeavors. So I'm kind of just using this time as like a mini boot camp for myself, try to get in shape, try to get my voice to the best it can be, my dancing to the best it can be, so that when those opportunities do come, that I'm ready and I'm prepared. And I'm just trying to use this time to be productive, but also rest.
I love that idea of using this as a boot camp for yourself, trying to get yourself better, not just physically, but internally, resting, self-care. What would be the first thing that you will do when you're allowed to finally, when we're done with the shelter in place?
I cannot wait to collaborate with people and to just like hug someone. I just want to hug my friends and my family.
I know that your fans have been there with you this whole time. Message for them.
I just want to say that I love my fans. I love everyone that has supported me and been there for me. Honestly, like every little message makes a difference, and I hope that I can be a source of inspiration and positivity for you guys too. And I just want to say hang in there, and we are all in this together, and there are things that we're all struggling with, and that's completely normal and that's completely okay, and whatever pace you're going at, I think is completely okay, and just use this time to reset.
What would be the biggest learning from this that you will always take away with you?
Through this time, I'm just learning how to function independently, and that's really powerful. Just being able to be with yourself and know yourself. Just being alone is, and being comfortable being alone. I think that's what I'm going to take away from this whole experience.
And that's a very powerful message. Thank you so much, Jules.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. It was amazing talking to you.
Extended versions of the interviews on YouTube. Please catch us there. Also some behind the scenes. We are on at youtube.com/SoJannelle. Extended versions of the segments. Also our commercial-free premiere every Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern, and 11 a.m. Manila time. If you have friends and loved ones in those places, also all over the world, Asia, Europe, Australia, Middle East, we are now available on YouTube, and they can catch us anywhere. www.youtube.com/SoJannelle. And of course, don't forget our TV dates here on the show next week, same time, same channel. I'm your host, Jannelle So, and this has been So Jannelle.